look like you don't want to be there. That's the first thing. You promise you're going to scrum then. You promise you're going to play like your last fucking game as a group together. You sort your shit out here. And if you can't play for the second half, do this up now. And the other boys will go on.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, bruh. Rossi right there sound like a disappointed father. Yeah, like, come on, get your ass up. Why y'all just sitting there looking sad and mopey, man? Come on, you still got a whole second half to play. Stop playing with them. Sitting there looking sad for what? Because you losing? Get your ass up, man. Motivate each other. Get hyped. Talk about something. At this point, Rossi can't help y'all win no more. This on y'all now. It's not on him. It's not on him every single time to motivate y'all to win the game. It's on y'all. You got to find it within. If you got it externally, it helps. But sometimes you ain't going to have it externally. You got to find it within here, bro. Within here. Put your asses up and just make something happen within yourselves.
For fuck's sakes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Speel begin, kry 'n bietjie excitement, praat met mekaar.
He said you must decide for yourself.
Well done, Bong. That's what the fucking captain do.
That's what the captain do.
Well done.
You did it, bruh. You did it, bruh. Oh, that's beautiful, bruh. Oh, no. Hey, bruh. That's about to make me shed a thug tear, bruh. That's about to give me a thug tear, bruh. I can't do it, though, bruh. Oh, bruh. Made me get moist. It's getting moist out here, dog. It's the perspiration. What's the deal, y'all? Look, hey, man, you see the title and you see the thumbnail. We're talking about Chasing the Sun 2, Episode 4 today, man. And I gotta say, this was one of the best episodes I've seen. I know I said that about Episode 3, but Episode 4, it hits on your emotions just in a different level. In Episode 3, we saw a lot of tactics, saw a lot of strategy, facing adversity through the players, through the team, even through their chemistry together as a team between the coaches and how they dealt with that going into that France game. But in Episode 4, dog, like, the way it just taps into that emotional capacity, looking at how the team faces adversity, what players are able to rise to the occasion amidst that adversity, how the coaches deal with that adversity, and how they manage to still come out on top despite everything going against them, from the France to the England game. So, I just want to say, when it started with the end of the France game, because Episode 3, the end of that left us on a cliffhanger. Going into the beginning of Episode 4, and we're looking at the end of that France game, I just want to say, Eben Etzebeth, dude. When he came back into that game after beating the sin bin, it really just solidified how much of a game changer he is. Like, we saw that from Episode 1 through 4, how much of a game changer he is, how good he makes plays in the clutch, especially when they need it, and how every single time that happens, it always turns everything around. It flips the complete script of how that game is going to transpire. So I just got to say, applaud to him, because, yeah, it really showed in this episode as well, especially at the end of the France game. Also at the end, when we're looking at Andre Pollard, right? Andre Pollard, you know, he's going to make that final kick. And what he said about that kick was, this is for South Africa. And I want to say that's the theme of this episode. The theme of this episode, Episode 4, was this is for South Africa. That was reiterated multiple times throughout the episode and kept bringing the team back and South Africa back to that why. You know, I always talk about that why you do it. You know what I mean? If you have a strong why and a strong reason, not a why that pushes you forward and motivates you, but a why that truly pulls you and reels you in and not just motivates you, but inspires you and makes you strive to accomplish whatever that goal is. And so that why, that this is for South Africa, from Andre Pollard at the end of that France game, was transferred right into the prep and right into the game against England, and it was constantly reiterated from different players throughout that entire episode, which I thought was beautiful. So I feel like the theme of episode 4 is this is for South Africa. Another thing I thought was really great was the deeper dive into the scrum. Like yeah, we know about scrums, we know they're intense, and we know that they're important and a big aspect of the game. But looking at this episode, you really see how important it is. It's all about the scrum in episode 4. It's not about the kicks, it's not about Monty LeBlanc, it's not about what the backs are doing. It's not about injuries. It's all about scrum. You know what I'm saying? Salads don't win scrums. All right, you got to go to that dark place. You know, are you willing to go into the gutter, deep into the gutter in that dark place? Right? So, episode 4, you really saw a very, very intelligent, technique-based, but also physical and emotional aspects of what goes into a scrum, and I feel like that's the deepest dive. I feel like I learned more about a scrum just watching that episode than I did if I watched 20 videos talking about why scrums are important in rugby. Like, I learned everything I needed to know within that episode. You're looking at Bongi, looking at Dion, looking at Ox, especially Ox. You know, they really tapped into his story with him, his sister, the single mother, being on the farm with the cattle, and just wanting to play rugby, getting coached by the scrum coach before he was even an actual coach. Like, you really just saw, like, you know, them big boys. You know, salads don't make scrums. Them big boys come from them farm areas, man. They gotta eat. They gotta eat and they gotta work. But you really got a deep look in that, and I thought that was really interesting. And I definitely learned a lot. You know, they're talking about people passing out. Even looking at Ox with his technique, especially against that England scrum when Kurt Lee Arenza, you know, he messed up on a play and almost cost South Africa the game against England. And Ox was able to use his intellect, because it's not just physical, right? Some people may see a scrum and think, oh, that's just all physicality. That's all physical, you know, and it's a whole lot of technique. A whole lot of chess plays that go into that, and you saw that when Ox was talking about England and hesitating because he already knew their scrum style, and he was going to find a way to exploit that. Ended up getting the penalty, and that gave South Africa another chance to continue to play and have a chance to win that game. If it wasn't for that, maybe they lose that scrum. The ball gets played. Maybe England scores or gets a penalty and gets a field goal or gets a penalty kick. And at that point, the game is lost. There's nothing you can do. So that just goes to show how important that scrum is. And I thought that was a very intelligent and amazing deep dive into that aspect of the game that a lot of people take for granted. Because you look at the forwards, man, this is what the scrum coach said. And I agree with this too. Like, the forwards are the groundwork. That's the soil. That's the dirt and the soil and the groundwork that goes into the game. If you got bad soil, you got bad fertilizer, you don't got a good foundation, guess what? The plants are never gonna spring. You can't have good vegetation, good plants, and good crops without good foundation and good fertilizer. So that's what the forwards are. They are the foundation and the groundwork that allows the beauty of the plants to spring, right? When we see highlights, we see the backs, you know, the beautiful plays, the nice stuff, but people forget that sometimes the scrums could allow those highlights to even take place. The forwards allow those highlights to take place. So I thought that was a beautiful, beautiful and great look into the scrum that I haven't seen necessarily before too. Another thing that I thought was interesting, now if you look at the coaching aspect, we saw a little bit of more of that in episode 3. And I mean, we've seen a little bit more of that in this entire series so far in comparison to the original Chasing the Sun, right? We really got to look into the coaching and the staff and how they prepare for these games. And one thing I liked was the peaking periods, right? The peaking periods when they were looking at the game minutes that the England players played versus the average game minutes that the South African players played. And for me, as an ex-personal trainer, you know, you deal with that. When I used to train clients, there's peaking periods, right? There's periods where we're grinding, we're working, We maybe tail off a little bit, but we do that so we can peak and play and come in and be the strongest possible, be the quickest possible, the most powerful possible. So I thought that was a very cool aspect of it. Just looking at the peaking periods and the coaches understanding what that means and how to utilize that in the best way possible. You know, even when you think of peaking periods too, like think about this. Manny LeBlanc, right? They were giving him his reps. They were letting him get his reps in, even despite maybe not, you know, executing the way that they wanted him to. But in that moment where they felt like, okay, maybe he's losing it a little bit, maybe he doesn't have the confidence, maybe the stage is a little bit too big, and maybe he's been playing a lot, so he's a little bit fatigued. Boom, you bring in the veteran, Andre Pollard. Andre Pollard comes in and makes sure to handle business the way he does. And because he's fresh, right, and not just being utilized for small points here and there, he's able to come in and execute perfectly. We saw that in the end of France game. We saw that in the second half of the England game. He came in and was able to execute and make sure the job gets done. And that's no knock to Manny LeBlanc. Manny LeBlanc, great player, doing his thing. But in the moments it matters most, you got to make sure that the person you can count on the most is as fresh as possible and is essentially at his peaking period. So I thought that was a really good insight from the coaches to talk about those peaking periods. We haven't seen them talk about that in Chasing the Sun or Chasing the Sun 2 so far, so I thought that was really dope. Now, the England game was real interesting, man, because you got England coming in trying to get redemption for that 2019 devastating loss. So they came in firing on all cylinders, right? Like South Africa had nothing they could do. Nothing. The rain was against them. The kicking was suffocating them. They weren't able to really allow their defense to shine, which is where they do shine. Offensively, they're still dangerous, but on defense, they shine. And what I did like about this was, to me, out of all the adversity they face, this was the real adversity. Like, you were hearing a plethora of players talking about how there was nothing they can do. Nothing was going right. Nothing could be done to make it go right. The weather was against them. The team England wasn't allowing them to play their style. Like, I have not seen them, in a respectful manner, I have not seen them seem so helpless at all. Even the coaches, just helpless all across the board. Like, there was no strategy that could be implemented. It was purely just heart. They were trying to do everything they could do, but at the end of the day, it came down to heart. Why you do it? Who do you do it for? And what length are you willing to go? And how much are you willing to leave on the field? Like, how much of yourself are you willing to leave all on that field in that game to achieve the ending result of a win and going into the final matchup in the Rugby World Cup? That's all it came down to. There was no amount of strategy or this or that or that. It was all purely, at that point, heart. How much are you willing to lay down on this field to win this game? And we haven't seen that yet. We have not seen that yet. All the other moments where they faced adversity, there was something they could implement, something they needed to change, something they could do. There was something there. For that game, there was nothing there. It was purely, how much are you willing to lay down on this field right now? And I thought that was just great because, like every other team, they're human. Right? There's anybody could lose, anybody could win. They are human. In competition, there's a winner and there's a loser. And that's it. Somebody has to lose and everybody thinks it's their destiny to win. And we saw that with the France game. You know what I mean? France, it seemed like it was fate for them to win and go to the final. Based on how their year was going, based on being one of the best teams, having the best players, playing in France. The fans damn near winning the game against South Africa. Like, it was fate for them to win. But you could also argue it was fate for South Africa to win. There can only be one winner and one loser. How much are you willing to lay down on this field to secure that victory? And I thought that was really a really dope look. to see them, not as immortal, but as mortal. And speaking of mortal, right, going into that second half, I saw Rossi in a way I never thought I'd see Rossi. Highly emotional. He didn't look angry. He wasn't mad, but disappointed, like a disappointed father, just real disappointed, just like his kids are just letting him down. And I never seen him, like, I thought he was gonna cry. Like, it seemed like he was on the verge of tears and crying because his team walked into that locker room, and I've never seen them like this. Just head down, sulky, sad, literally at a loss of hope. Like they were at a funeral, bro, my boy. It seemed like they were at a funeral, my boy. And then dude gets up. I think it was Dutoit, Peter Dutoit. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm messing up his name, but he gets up, and he's not one that's talking like that. He's not, he's not a big voice on that team. He gets up and he's like, "Dog, what are we doing? Get up. Let's get motivated. What are we just gonna sit here and cry? We got a whole half to play. It's not over. We not about to sit here and cry." He says, "Look, dog, everyone's fucking scared. We're all scared. But what are we gonna do about it? Let's make a fucking plan. We not about to sit here and just, no. We go, as soon as we walk out here, head held high, get up on that fucking field, and let's fucking play." And I love that. Because it's normal when the person who's always talking talks. Right? That might not change something all the time, right? But when the person who don't say a fucking word gets up and says, "What the fuck is wrong with y'all?" That changes everything. And that was the moment everything changed for South Africa. And they came in that second half and they played with heart. They were leaving it on the field. And they played with their heads held high, feet on the ground, head on your shoulders. Just like the scrum coach told Ox when he was a kid. Feet on the ground, head on your shoulders, and let's get this fucking work. And that's what they did. It didn't come easy. But they did what they needed to do. And again, we saw the scrum be a major player in how that second half went. Ox came in there, Bongi was in there, they was in there, and Jesse Creel, they was in there, and they Snyman, they was all in there and did what they needed to do. And every scrum, you kept hearing that reiteration of, this is for South Africa. This is the one. This is what we need to do. We don't lose no scrums. We win them. And they did that and achieved that, which led to Andre Pillar's last kick to win the fucking game. 16-15, 1-point victory, just like in France. And they achieved their result. And another beautiful thing was looking at the emotions. Again, I said this one tied on those emotional capacities. And when you see the emotions of the fans, the people of South Africa that were there at the game, that were watching back home, and you just see grown men with tears, big tears falling down their eyes, just people with huge smiles, dancing, laughing, partying, and just the beauty of that. The beauty of seeing the fans go from a loss, looking at their team as a loss of hope to coming out victorious. I mean, grown men with just full-fledged tears. It was a beautiful thing. And then you see Bongi. Oh, the ending got me, bro. The ending got me. I'm probably going to put a clip of me at the end, but the ending got me, bro. Bongi walks into that locker room, sits down, and just let it out. All that emotional buildup, just let it out. Tears flowing. No words. By himself. He couldn't even, he's trying to stick to that leadership role as a captain, right? So he got to get into the locker room, make sure nobody sees. Just lets it out. Jot, Rossi come in there, support them real quick. And I just thought that was beautiful, man. That made me shed some thug tears. I got a little moist. I got a little moist up in here. It was a little perspiration, you know. Have some perspiration in the eyes, man. And that's what hit the most, cause I don't know what you guys do who's watching. I don't know what adversity you faced, but if you had faced adversity or you had a goal that you just wanted to achieve so bad, but had to get through all types of different barriers in your way, and almost give up hope and still achieve that goal, how emotional that is and how happy that can make you that you got there, even though you almost wanted to give up. And so that hit me, bro. I was like, oh my God, bro. So I love the ending. Incredible ending to make up for how episode 3 ended. Episode 3 had me mad, bro. I was ready to break my camera at the end of episode 3, but they made up for it at the end of episode 4. So I'm sorry this was a long one, but I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know how you feel in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. If you want to see my full reaction to the episode, it is on my Patreon. We're almost at 200 subscribers on Patreon, man. So make sure to go sign up over there so I can keep bringing you guys dope content, documentaries, full game reactions, and all that other good stuff, man. That's it. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Remember to keep it real. Real is rare, and real always reaches everyone. See y'all next time. Peace.